In the day's other news, the Taliban work to restore stability across Afghanistan as new concerns emerged about the plight of the Afghan people who remain in the country. A senior United Nations official warned that Afghanistan's food supply could run out this month and estimated that a third of the population is facing a hunger crisis. Meanwhile, a technical team from Qatar arrived in Kabul to help the Taliban reopen the airport to aid deliveries and other flights. We'll have more on Afghanistan later in the program. Back in this country, firefighters in Northern California made more progress today against the massive Caldor fire raging near the Lake Tahoe resort area. The flames are now 20% contained after burning more than 204,000 acres since mid-August. Stephanie Sy has the latest.
Plumes of black smoke rose above the historic Echo Summit mountain pass early this morning. Signs that the Caldor fire is creeping closer to South Lake Tahoe, the most populous city on the lake. Nearly 4,000 firefighters battling the raging inferno made some progress today. The fire has already destroyed hundreds of structures.
We've been resource starved here at times. We're continuing to get more people sent to us. But it's still not enough, as this fire's shown to be a huge challenge for everyone involved. Fuel load is extreme out in these areas. Everything is easily ignitable, and the vegetation is very thick and dense, and the areas are at sometimes inaccessible.
Thousands of members of California's National Guard have also been deployed to assist with the fire response and evacuations. For days, erratic winds and low humidity have spread spot fires, with embers flying and spreading the flames.
Those ember casts that it throws out are going over a mile in distance. So that's what's propagating the spread of the fire right now, is that long-range downwind spotting of that ember cast.
And the thick smoke has made it difficult for crews to navigate the rough terrain. On Monday, some 50,000 people in the popular resort region were placed under evacuation orders, snarling traffic for hours. A tourist area that's usually filled with thousands of holiday visitors is now almost empty. Military vehicles, fire crews, and an odd bear were seen in the city's smoke-filled streets. Only a few residents remain.
No one's stupid enough to, stay when the flames are right mounting around the outside of the meadow. So as long as the smoke isn't so bad and the flames aren't real close, we're going to stick it out, But if not, we'll hightail it out.
Evacuation orders have also expanded to communities in neighboring Nevada along the California state line. Meanwhile, the massive Dixie Fire is also still burning through the Sierra Nevada. It's the second largest wildfire in the state's history and has burned over 844,000 acres since it began in early July. Scientists say climate change has made worse the hot and dry weather conditions fueling the West's extreme wildfires. And it's also contributed to the warming of water, making hurricanes such as Ida in the Gulf Coast more dangerous. Catherine Hayhoe is a climate scientist and the chief scientist for the Nature Conservancy.
Climate change didn't cause Hurricane Ida, but it definitely made it worse. And that's what climate change is, a threat multiplier. It's taking events that occur naturally and it's making them bigger, stronger, more dangerous, and more damaging.
That includes wildfires.
Imagine that you had a pile of green, wet wood and you accidentally dropped a match into it. What would happen? Not much. Then imagine you had a pile of bone-dry kindling and you accidentally dropped a match into it. What would happen? A huge conflagration. That's the difference between with or without climate change.
This year is on track to be California's worst fire season on record, and it's far from over. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Sy.
A new report out today from the United Nations Weather Agency has found that weather disasters are more frequent and more severe than 50 years ago due to climate change. Events like fires and floods are happening more than 4 times more often and causing 7 times more damage than in the 1970s. But they are causing fewer deaths due to better warnings and preparedness. A Texas ban on most abortions after the 6th week of pregnancy went into effect today. The U.S. Supreme Court has yet to act on an emergency appeal to block the law, which is the most restrictive in the nation. The law also empowers private citizens to file lawsuits against anyone who helps another person get a prohibited abortion. We'll return to this right after the news summary. 3 suburban Denver police officers and 2 paramedics have been indicted on manslaughter and other charges in the 2019 death of Elijah McClain. Officers stopped the 23-year-old black man after a 911 caller reported that he was acting suspiciously. They put him in a chokehold and injected him with a sedative before he died. Today's announcement is part of a new investigation into his death after his autopsy was inconclusive. President Biden had his first face-to-face meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky since taking office. Zelensky was a key figure in former President Trump's first impeachment after Mr. Trump pressured him to investigate then-candidate Biden and his son Hunter. Today, Mr. Biden pledged to give $60 million in new military aid to Ukraine to counter Russian hostility.
And the United States remains firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity in the face of Russian aggression, and our support for Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic aspirations.
Zelensky welcomed the assistance and said he wanted to drum up U.S. support for Ukraine's bid for NATO membership. In Nigeria, gunmen abducted 73 young students in a new school attack today. The assailants descended on the secondary school in a remote village in the northwestern part of the country. Their kidnappings came days after 3 other groups of hostages were freed, reportedly after ransom payments were made. Overall, more than 1,000 students have been kidnapped in northern Nigeria since December. The Pan American Health Organization is out today with some concerning new COVID-19 data. As infections surge in North America, hospitalization rates among young people and adults under the age of 50 are higher today than at any point in the pandemic. And 3/4 of the people in Latin America and the Caribbean have not been fully vaccinated against COVID. Rescue crews are searching for 5 people still missing off the coast of Southern California, a day after a U.S. Navy helicopter crashed. Officials said the aircraft went down Tuesday afternoon during a routine flight 70 miles off the coast of San Diego. 1 sailor was rescued. There was no immediate word what caused the crash. A federal judge in New York today approved the bankruptcy reorganization plan for OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. The plan will help settle thousands of lawsuits over the company's role in the deadly opioid epidemic. The Sackler family will give up ownership of the company and must pay $4.5 billion. But they will be shielded from future opioid lawsuits. And on Wall Street today, trading was light on this first day of September. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 48 points to close at 35,312. The Nasdaq rose 50 points to notch another all-time high, and the S&P 500 added 1. Still to come on the NewsHour, what Texas's new abortion law means for women's reproductive health. Thousands flee Afghanistan as the Taliban move to form an Islamic government. The surge of migrants into Europe strains the resources of points of entry, and much more.
This is the PBS NewsHour from WETA Studios in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.